This podcast may contain paid advertisements, but more on that later. Welcome to the O'Connor Bootstrap Podcast, your go-to resource for unraveling the intricacies of business and leadership, honing in on the essence of bootstrapping a business from scratch. Whether you're a seasoned entrepreneur, a dedicated bootstrapper, or a leader navigating life's various challenges, this podcast is crafted just for you. I'm Isaiah O'Connor, your friendly neighborhood entrepreneur, and my mission is to guide you towards personal and professional growth. Let's embark on this journey together. Now, with new episodes dropping weekly, I want to welcome you to the Remastered series, your chance to catch up on the journey so far. Here's one from the archives I think you'll enjoy. Today we're going to be talking about a little bit more into my history, my background, my origin story, a entrepreneur's origin story. So, in my last podcast, I spoke about, passion. What am I passionate about, or what I can become passionate about? And, this question is not an easy thing to answer. It really requires a lot of introspection and reflection. And that is to say, you need to know who you are and how you got there. I invite you to come with me this time as I tell my story and I reflect on my past and how I got to the place I am now. This being my origin story, I'll be focusing on what led me to become an entrepreneur in the first place. Hopefully, you'll get something from this as well. Well, why should I call it an origin story and not something else? I want to share who I am, a bit who I'm about. A good origin story gives you the why to the who. Now, what do I mean by that? Well, let's take one of my favorite origin stories of all time, Spider-Man. On the surface, and even if you had no idea of his origin story, he is simply a person with superhuman abilities who has decided to fight crime, just because that's the right thing to do. Well, that's not a bad thing. However, he becomes so much more intriguing when you look at his origin story. You find that he did not at first decide to be a hero, but only a selfish kid looking to make a name for himself. Only after tragedy strikes does he come to realize that he needs to use his power responsibly. Or, as the now famous line says, with great power comes great responsibility. So, who is Spider-Man? A hero. Why is he a hero? Well, because he learned from his big mistake. Not that it hurt gaining superpowers from spider bites, but he's a superhero because he chose to, because of his mistakes. Why he is really important to understanding Spider-Man. So, well, what about me? Well, as I was reflecting on the past in order to write this, I noticed not only did I possess an entrepreneurial bend, but I grew up with two entrepreneurs, even though I don't think they would even look at themselves that way. My mom ran daycare out of our house, and my dad ran his own janitorial service. I often worked with my dad, and I am now only realizing the value of that time. He instilled with me a really good work ethic and the drive to get pushed through just to get the job done. And also some understanding of what running a business means. He also showed me the determination to do what needed to be done, rain or shine, even when sick. With all this experience when I was a kid, I started selling golf balls and sodas at a local golf course. When I was in college, I researched starting my own web design company, and then years later, I tried to start an iPod repair business for extra income. None of these lasted very long, but yet the spark was there. One of the biggest influences in my life came when I followed my dream of going on staff with a Christian missionary organization called Youth with a Mission. This was an amazing time for me and a big part of what I am now and who I am now. First and foremost, I met my Norwegian wife, which eventually landed me where I now live in Norway. Secondly, I started to really cultivate my balloon twisting hobby. Lastly, I discovered that I had the heart of a teacher. After my time on staff at the missionary base, I went home, I got married, and got into a normal routine of finding a job, living just above my means, and struggling to get by. I worked jobs in sales and management, restaurants, and gas stations, whatever it took. Eventually, we moved from California to Norway. Things did not start off easy for us. I was out of work for a solid year while struggling to learn the language. And when I did land a job, it was as a part-time minimum wage cook. I soon got sick and tired of, being sick and tired. I was tired of taking any and every job just to pay the bills. And then my wife got pregnant, and I needed to find something better, something different. I needed to try my true vocation, not just another minimum wage job. I needed to get something better. Something that would break the cycle of barely squeaking by. Something I could be passionate about. I have always been a reader. It's the way I have educated myself. I started to listen to books at work and try to figure out a way out. One of these books was called 48 Days to the Work You Love by a guy named Dan Miller. The book spoke to finding who you were and what your vocation really is. The book caused something inside of me that had been simmering for years to boil over. I would start my own business again. Inspired by the book, I started reflecting on my past. One thing that came to me is that one of the ways I'd been trying to integrate into Norwegian culture was to do some balloon twisting for some charity events. And not only kids, but the adults to really appreciate it. I figured all I needed was a pump, which I already had, a bag of balloons, and a website. With my past in management and sales, I figured I had a really good grasp of what running a business and marketing was all about. Yeah. I went to my wife and I told her about it. She was unsurprisingly not too keen on the idea. She was working full-time to support us, and she was also 7 months pregnant with our firstborn. After some discussion, sometimes rather heated, she reluctantly agreed for me to try, as long as my business was only a side job, and I would keep looking for a replacement for my part-time job. I kept looking for full-time work. She had, as often is the case, much more sense than me. Well, as you might expect, it did not take off as quickly as I had been managed. I discovered the management and sales were much different than ownership and marketing. My first year, I ended with less than a full month's pay at a regular full-time job. Good thing I hadn't quit my day job. About 2 years later, life decided to kick me out of the nest. The part-time job that I had went bankrupt, and I had failed at landing a full-time job. All I had was my business, and that was barely making any money, even with all my books. I still struggled with finding clients, and my wife was wanting me to shut it down. Something needed to change, and change fast, and change did happen. First of all, I managed to land a major event company as a client. Second, I found out that balloon decor was highly marketable in Norway. I was able to take and pass a course in balloon decor, and instantly making me more marketable. About a year after that, I managed to gain a great mentor, and he suggested rebranding my business. So I agreed with him, and I rebranded and changed my focus from balloon twisting to balloon decor. I have discovered that while I like balloon twisting, my real passion has become balloon decor. All this combined helped me accelerate my growth. Flash forward to today, and now I've moved out of my house into an office. I have hired my first employee. I've beaten last year's sales, and I'm starting to the busiest time of the year. As I see my business grow, I grow as a person. And as I've grown, Jason's been there along for the journey. And he brought me, and again, back to the passion. That is, some of my other passion is writing and teaching. And so now I'm really able to continue with that, being passionate about something, to help you guys find your passion to build up your business. So on that, how do you find your true passion? Well, if my story is any indicator, look at what you enjoy, what you do for fun as a hobby. Do not overlook the positive role models in your life, and do not be afraid to try things you think may work, because they just might. You may fail a few times, or you may find that one thing you like leads to something you're passionate about, so try. Do not give up, push through the hard times, and you will eventually find what you're looking for. Thank you, everyone, and take care. And until next time, I'll be your friendly neighborhood entrepreneur, Isaiah O'Connor. If today's episode added value to your day, we'd love to hear your thoughts. Drop a comment and consider giving us a stellar 5-star rating on your favorite podcast platform. Whether it's Apple Podcast, Spotify, Google Podcast, or more. And remember, if you leave a 5-star review on Apple Podcast, I will personally read it out in the next episode. To support the show, you can make a one-time gift by buying us a coffee at buymeacoffee.com/bootstrap, donate through PayPal at paypal.me/IOCPOD, or make a contribution on our Patreon page at patreon.com/IOCPOD. Your support keeps the episodes coming. For even more content and exclusive perks, join our Patreon community at patreon.com/IOCPod. Patrons enjoy ad-free episodes, access to our private Discord server, early content previews, and a lot more. And here's an exciting offer. Get your free trial of our $5 a month Bootstrapper Community Explorer tier. This exclusive tier grants you ad-free content, Discord server access, and early content previews. Join us and be part of the inner circle. If you're feeling more generous, those who join tiers $25 a month and up will have a chance to be a featured guest on this podcast. A massive thank you to Wintergotten for generously providing the incredible intro and outro music at no cost. We appreciate their support. Be sure to check out Wintergotten's amazing work on YouTube at youtube.com/@Wintergotten. Until next time, I'm your friendly neighborhood entrepreneur, Isaiah O'Connor, signing off. This is the O'Connor Bootstrap Podcast, brought to you by Athos Business Solutions. For our companion podcast, the Athos Business Podcast, hosted by Jason St. Clair, along with past episodes and related blogs, visit our website at athos.com. That's ATHEOZ.com or theoz.com. Goodbye for now.